What's up, guys? This is the Keep Pounding channel. Uh, Today I was resting from FanFest. I had a blast, but that's not what I was going to get to today. I was going to put up my final thoughts of FanFest today, but I never did get a chance to. So I will be posting those with my thoughts of training camp on Monday. On Sunday. So, because I will be going to the Sunday afternoon training camp practice. But here is the news from today. And I was going to take the day off from YouTube today to rest and get ready for tomorrow. But if any of you have seen this interview of Kelvin Benjamin today, I mean, it's become viral news throughout the entire fan base. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'm very surprised you haven't. Because he put out a tweet on Twitter as well, and I'll get to that. But let's first get to this. Let's start with the actual interview question, which is he was asked, "How would you assess your career since your rookie season?" And I'm not sure who did this interview. Y'all can let me know in the comments below who did it, but if you happen to know, his response was, "Looking back, I should have been drafted by someone else. Carolina was a bad fit for me. If it was any other quarterback, any other accurate quarterback," and he references Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, and Big Ben. Anybody, he says. Quarterbacks with more knowledge, how to place the ball, giving you a better chance to catch the ball. I mean, here's the thing. When you go back and you look at at Eli Manning and his career, I mean, yes, the man does have two Super Bowls under his belt. Yes, he does have an MVP, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, during those years, his stats did look good. But since then, he's been throwing interceptions. You look at, that's the one stat that nobody looks at in 2018 is his interceptions. And honestly, as many touchdowns as he's thrown at least half as many interceptions in that time. So my thought is, why is he still quarterback for the Giants? Why is Gettleman still settling for him when you could just draft a quarterback? He could just do whatever he wants to. He's back in control of the Giants again. So I mean, so then you look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a fantastic career. He did throw some interceptions. He did throw one in particular that I was in the house for against Thomas Davis in 2015 during our Super Bowl run. But the man is remarkably good at comebacks. Remarkably. One of the top three in the league, I would say. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford. I would say are my top three. And if you want to add one, go for it. Fill in the blank. But, because I know there's at least 5 or 6 elite quarterbacks that could fit into that category. But Big Ben, accurate. I mean, yeah, early on in his career, yes. Middle of his career, yes. But late in his career, really? I mean, what in the time that I was watching him, yes, he was accurate, but he missed about a third of his passes too. And I mean, some of it was drop balls, which are not going to show up in the stat category. And some of these wide receivers make me wish that was a stat that you could look up. Now, I'm telling you, it should be a stat that you could look up. I've been asking for this for years because it makes a humongous difference in games and in the stat book when you're looking at stats. It tells a story about the accuracy of your quarterback and how good your wide receiver's hands are. Not just the accuracy of the quarterback itself, himself. So, that's why I wanted to expand upon that point specifically. My second point was his Twitter. He tweeted that, let's be real, it was all fake. So what you did during the entire time that you were on the field for us was fake. While attempting to grieve for your mom. And I'm not saying that KB's a bad person for faking it, but what I'm saying is that everybody needs time to grieve. You know, if you need the time to grieve, then grieve. But what you do on the football field matters, performance-wise. Yes, that grieving process is going to affect your skills on the field to a point. It affects everybody. I mean, you look at D'Angelo Williams. He had a rough go of it, but I mean, the league doesn't technically tell you to fake it, but these franchises do want you to at least try to put in as best effort as you can. And I mean, that's all we can ask for, right? We're not asking for the moon. We're asking for you guys to take the time to just get through it, get past it, and get back to where you were before. So I mean, I understand the grieving process. I understand that you had to skip it in order to come back on the field. I get that. Some franchises want you to do that. I don't agree with it, but some franchises do want you to do that. Moving on to my final point, or my second to last final point. I've seen a lot of comments of people referencing the record with him versus without him. And I'll tell you this, in 2016, we did not have an offensive line. Let's just call it what it is. We had trouble on our offensive line. And I'm not saying that as an excuse for Cam's accuracy, but it definitely contributed at least 60% to his bad accuracy. And again, this is where I wish we had the stat of drop passes. That says volumes about your wide receivers, not just your quarterback, but the wide receivers' hands category. And I know these guys get graded every week, but you by the coaches, but you got to look at drop passes. I want this to become a stat. It's beyond time to make it a stat. In the league, everywhere, ESPN, websites, everywhere, make it a stat. I'm beyond tired of trying to go through stats and not seeing that. Um, and also, you have to consider that at the end of the day, it's a business. It is a business. You cannot complain if you're dropping passes and you're not putting in 100% of the effort. You cannot complain if you get underpaid for that. Like, I understand Gettleman was underpaying everybody, but he did it for a reason. He underpaid everybody because he needed the money spread out to everybody else so that he could pay their contracts as well. Like this, and have some cap room left over in case we had an emergency and we needed to pick somebody up off the free agent list, or we needed to, at least have $5 million in cap space so we could sign draftees. And I mean, players often forget it's a business. They don't see the general manager side of things. They don't see the big picture. They just see the zeros on the paycheck. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't blame them because if you're a player on the field, why do you need to know about general manager stuff? Because you might end up on the sidelines as a coach, still drawing even more zeros on that check. I mean, look at we have wide receiver coach. I forget who it was. I'll probably remember later, but he's our current wide receiver coach, and he was a product of our system. Now he's earning figures as a coach, as an assistant coach. I believe it's Cotchery, if I'm not mistaken. You can look that up and let me know in the comments below. But it matters because you could work your way up if you wanted to. If you're smart enough and you actually care enough about the game and really want to impact it in a different way from the coaching sideline, you could work your way up. It also matters to know general manager stuff when going into a contract negotiation, because the agents will get in your head. I mean, look at Josh Norman. Look at Josh Norman. I mean, need I say more? That agent got in his head and he started seeing figures out the wazoo. Even before he became into his third year of productivity. I just need to say this right now. If you are not aware that the NFL is a business as a player, it will come back to bite you. And, as far as I'm concerned, KB is salty. KB is just straight up salty. He goes on Twitter, and D'Angelo Williams even sympathizes with him. He said remotely the same things about Gettleman. So, I mean, honestly, y'all be the judge of this, because this is some insane ridiculousness that needs to stop. He was being completely unclassy and completely disrespecting our franchise. And, I mean, here's one more thing. And I'll say this reluctantly, because I think it does matter. When you go back and you look at his Twitter page, how many tweets do you actually see? Not retweets, but actual tweets do you see that he has actually said something? uh, not post, not posted pictures, not retweets, but actual tweets. I don't see anything since probably July of last year. He has literally tweeted nothing in 2018. No pictures, no retweets, no nothing in 2018. And now all of a sudden he goes on Twitter and he says, "Oh, I'm salty." Really? Really, KB? That's how you're going to treat this organization after we treated you with the utmost respect and dignity that you deserve as a human being and as a person and as a player on that field? I understand that Tepper, that Gettleman didn't pay you. He underpaid everybody. That's not the point here. The point is you disrespected your old quarterback, your old franchise, and acted like it was nothing, and acted like, oh, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the zeros on your paycheck. You were hurt for an entire year. And then you want to come back and be like, oh, well, I I put it in the work, you know. How about the drop passes? Are we not factoring that in? Is that not a stat? It's not right now, but it needs to be. Get on it, NFL. Thank you. I just had to let off some steam today because KB just made me salty because he's salty. All right. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'll be at training camp practice at 2 o'clock. You can catch me on the hill and also at the end zones. I will be with my friend Jared. So catch us there. Until then, you'll see some footage tomorrow and my final thoughts video of both FanFest and tomorrow. Up tomorrow on the channel. Thank you very, very much. And keep pounding.